You won't believe the secrets hiding in your kitchen. Elon Musk has taken a close look at some everyday foods and says it's time to rethink what we're eating. We all assume our meals are healthy, simple, and just what the label promises. After all, what else could they be? But behind those colorful packages, catchy phrases, and tasty-looking pictures, there's a surprising truth about what's really in our food. It's not just ordinary stuff. It might shock you, gross you out, or totally blow your mind. Stick around to discover what's actually on your plate. Elon Musk is spilling the beans on 15 products you'll never want to buy again once you know the real story. Oh, and before we dive in, hit that subscribe button so you're always in the loop on the latest tech updates.
I did switch to steak and eggs for breakfast, and I found that's like a power-up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We're all overrun with carbohydrates. You stay flat if you eat a primarily high-protein, high-fat diet.
I mean, I just have steak and eggs, no bread or anything.
Yeah,
and,
it's great.
Food industry experts compiled this list of foods they say we should never eat.
15. Luak coffee. Ever heard of this fancy coffee? It's made from beans that have been eaten and pooped out by a little animal called a civet. Sounds wild, right? This stuff is super luxurious, with a single cup costing $35 or more, making it one of the priciest coffees out there. Here's how it works. The Asian palm civet, a night-loving creature from Southeast Asia, munches on ripe coffee cherries. As the beans pass through its tummy, enzymes work some magic, giving the coffee a smooth, less bitter taste. Or so they say. At first, it seems like a quirky, high-end treat. But here's the not-so-fun part. In the wild, civets eat all kinds of stuff. Fruits, bugs, seeds, and roam around solo. On some Kopi Luwak farms, though, these poor animals are stuffed into tiny cages and forced to eat nothing but coffee cherries to pump out more beans. This junk food diet makes them sick and malnourished. Plus, they're naturally shy and active at night, but they're kept awake in the daytime for tourists to stare at, stressing them out big time. It gets worse. A lot of Kopi Luwak, over 80%, is fake. People slap a fancy label on regular coffee beans and charge a fortune for it. Even when it's real, beans from caged civets aren't as good as those from wild ones who pick the best cherries naturally. Finding ethical Kopi Luwak is nearly impossible. So why not skip it and grab a tasty, high-quality coffee that's kind to animals and your wallet instead? 14. Seafood industry. Elon Musk used to love fish, but after learning how to prepare it, he confessed in an interview that he couldn't eat it anymore. And believe me, you'll feel the same after hearing this. The seafood industry looks shiny and fresh on the outside, but behind the scenes, it's a mess. Getting fish from the ocean to your plate isn't as easy or clean as you think. Here's the thing. Small fishermen may handle their catch carefully, but big industrial fishing boats? They're a completely different story. These giant trawlers sweep through the ocean like vacuums, collecting everything. Tons of fish, endangered species, and random sea creatures they didn't even mean to catch. This bycatch destroys marine ecosystems, throwing off the balance of nature. But it doesn't stop there. After the fish are caught, they're transported to processing plants in a way that will make you tremble. Imagine fish dumped on the floor of a dirty truck, crammed together in tight, filthy spaces, and left in dirty water for who knows how long. It's not just disgusting, it's straight up nasty. Makes you wonder what's going to end up on your fork, right? We've ignored this for too long, but the truth is out. The seafood industry has some serious ethical and environmental problems. Want to enjoy seafood without the guilt? Choose sustainable, responsibly sourced options. Or, as Elon might hint, maybe it's time to give up fish altogether. When Elon Musk promised to reveal 15 products we'd give up once we knew the truth, he wasn't kidding. And seafood is at the top of his list. 13. Tomato ketchup. Let's be real. How many times a day do you squirt ketchup on your food? Whether it's fries, burgers, roasted veggies, or even a bowl of Maggi noodles, ketchup's like the best buddy for anything tasty. That sweet, tangy flavor? So good, right? But have you ever wondered what's actually in that bright red bottle? Heads up, it's not as harmless as it looks. Store-bought ketchup is loaded with sugar, preservatives, high-fructose corn syrup, and a crazy amount of salt. Sure, it tastes awesome, but it's secretly a troublemaker for your body. Just a couple of spoonfuls can pile on the sugar, making you gain weight over time and maybe even head toward obesity. And that high-fructose corn syrup? It's bad news for your heart, raising stuff like triglycerides that clog things up. Then there's the acidity, thanks to citric and malic acids, which can fire up heartburn or acid reflux if your stomach's sensitive. Oh, and the preservatives and salt? They can spark inflammation, mess with your joints, and even up your chances of kidney stones by building up calcium in your body. Still not convinced? All that sugar and junk can throw your insulin levels out of whack, stressing your system and possibly setting you up for big problems like diabetes down the road. So, next time you reach for that bottle, maybe think twice, or switch to a healthier homemade version. 12th. Margarine. You've probably heard margarine pitched as the healthier swap for butter, right? But once you peek behind the curtain at how it's made, you might not be so quick to smear it on your morning toast. It all starts with vegetable oils, like soybean, sunflower, or palm oil. Sounds natural enough, but hold on. These oils get blasted with heat and chemicals in a process called hydrogenation to turn them into that solid, spreadable stuff. The catch? This creates nasty trans fats that jack up your bad cholesterol, drop the good kind, and put your heart at risk. But wait, there's more. To make margarine look and taste decent, they use stuff like hexane, a chemical solvent, to pull out the oil, then bleach and deodorize it to ditch the funky smells and colors. Add in emulsifiers and fake colors for that smooth texture and bright yellow look, and you're miles away from butter's simple, creamy goodness. It gets sketchier. A lot of those oils come from genetically modified crops sprayed with glyphosate, a chemical tied to health and environmental worries. Plus, margarine's packed with omega-6 fats that can spark inflammation and lead to problems like heart disease or diabetes. And for the cherry on top, they throw in preservatives like BHT, which some studies say might be toxic or even linked to cancer, just to keep it sitting on the shelf longer. So, after all that processing, you end up with something that doesn't even taste as good as butter. Maybe it's time to stick with the real deal. 11th. Red food dye. Ever wonder what makes your favorite red snacks, drinks, or lipsticks so bright? Some of them get their color from crushed bugs. Yep, a tiny insect called the cochineal, found in places like Peru and the Canary Islands, is dried, smashed, and turned into a dye called carmine, cochineal extract, or natural red 4. Get this, it takes about 70,000 of these little bugs to make just 1 pound of that vivid red stuff. This trick goes way back. Hundreds of years ago, Europeans saw the Aztecs using it to dye fabrics in amazing, lasting red shades. Now, it's not just for clothes. It's in your food, makeup, and even some pill coatings. Think yogurt, candies, and lipstick. For most people, it's harmless, but it can spark serious allergies in some. And if you're vegan, vegetarian, or keep kosher, this bug-based dye is a big no-no. Here's the twist. As icky as eating bugs might sound, the fake stuff might be worse. Synthetic red dyes, like red number 40, come from coal or petroleum leftovers and are linked to problems like hyperkids and even possible cancer risks. So, bugs or chemicals, either way, that red color's got a creepy story. 10. Burgers. Love sinking your teeth into a juicy burger? Well, you might want to peek under the bun before your next bite, especially if it's from a fast food joint. First off, these burgers are calorie bombs. One can hit over 1,000 calories. That's half of what you should eat in a whole day. Add fries and a soda, and boom, you've blown past your daily limit in one meal. Plus, they're stuffed with cholesterol and salt, which are like troublemakers for your heart. Too much cholesterol can set you up for heart attacks or strokes, and all that sodium puts extra pressure on your arteries. But here's where it gets a little creepy. That burger patty? It's not just from one cow. It's a mashup of meat from tons of cows, sometimes even from different countries. That mix makes it easier for nasty stuff like E. coli to sneak in. And yeah, beef recalls because of E. coli happen way too often. Oh, and have you heard of pink slime? It's this weird ammonia-treated filler they sometimes toss in to make more patties. Yep, ammonia. In your food. So, next time you're craving a burger, maybe go for a homemade one instead of rolling the dice with fast food. 9. Canned mushrooms. If the thought of eating maggots makes you squirm, you might want to ditch that can of mushrooms sitting in your pantry. Believe it or not, it's totally legal for canned mushrooms to have some creepy, crawly guests. The FDA says it's too tricky and pricey to get rid of every single natural contaminant in food. So, they've got rules about what's okay. For canned mushrooms, that means up to 20 maggots per 600 grams is fine, as long as no more than 5 of them are longer than 2 millimeters. And it's not just maggots, up to 75 tiny mites. Yep, those little spider-like bugs are allowed per 100 grams too. They could be hiding in your next stir-fry. Here's the deal. The good news is that eating a few maggots or mites won't hurt most people. They're even considered safe on their own in small amounts. The bad news? If they've been hanging out in rotten stuff, they might carry some nasty germs. The FDA swears it's no big health risk, but let's be real. Most of us don't want to chomp on maggot-filled mushrooms. The fix? Skip the can and grab fresh mushrooms instead. Sure, it takes a little more time to wash and prep them, but isn't it worth it to keep the extra ingredients out of your dinner? 8. Processed vanilla flavors. When you hear vanilla flavor, you probably picture those sweet, fragrant vanilla beans from an orchid plant, right? Well, hold up. Most vanilla-flavored stuff you buy isn't from beans at all. It's fake, and where it comes from might totally freak you out. Get this. One weird source of artificial vanilla is something called castoreum, which comes from, brace yourself, the anal glands of beavers. Yep, beavers squirt this stuff to mark their turf, and it smells kinda like vanilla. Don't worry, it's super rare in food these days because it's pricey, but just knowing it's a thing might make you side-eye your vanilla ice cream. More often, fake vanilla comes from vanillin, a lab-made chemical cooked up from stuff like lignin, a wood pulp leftover, or guaiacol from clove oil. Not as wild as beaver butt juice, but still a long way from those natural vanilla pods you'd expect. This is part of a bigger deal with processed foods. Instead of keeping things natural, they use chemical tricks to crank out cheap flavors fast. Real vanilla takes time and effort to grow, but the fake stuff? It's quick, easy, and skips all the good nutrition. So, next time you're enjoying a vanilla treat, think about what's really in there. It might not be as sweet as it seems. 7. Shrimp farming. Remember how we kicked things off talking about the seafood industry and Elon Musk? Well, we're not done yet. Shrimp might be a dinner table superstar, but the way they're farmed could make you think twice before grabbing that next shrimp cocktail. Farm-raised shrimp, called aquaculture shrimp, sound like a smart fix for overfishing. Less pressure on the oceans, a steady supply for everyone, seems like a win, right? But here's the dirty truth. Most of these shrimp come from places like Southeast Asia and Central America, where they're wrecking mangrove forests to build shrimp ponds. Those mangroves are super important. They suck up carbon and give tons of animals a home. Chopping them down pumps CO2 into the air and leaves wildlife homeless. It gets messier. Shrimp farms dump waste, chemicals, and hormones into nearby waters, polluting everything and hurting fish and other sea creatures. Oh, and some farms have been caught doing awful stuff, like human trafficking and forced labor. So much for a feel-good choice. Even wild shrimp aren't perfect. Trawling for them tears up the ocean floor and snags extra sea life in the nets, killing stuff they didn't even mean to catch. It's a wasteful, destructive mess. So, what's a shrimp fan to do? Good news. There are plant-based shrimp options out there, made from cool stuff like corn and jackfruit. Tasty, guilt-free, and no ocean drama. 6. Bread. Time to rethink that everyday loaf you grab off the shelf. Bread seems so basic. Just flour, yeast, water, and maybe a little extra something, right? Well, brace yourself, because some store-bought breads have a weird secret ingredient. Human hair. Yep, you heard that right. There's this thing called L-cysteine, an amino acid they toss in to make the dough softer and easier to work with. It speeds up baking, too. While L-cysteine can come from stuff like duck feathers or lab-made processes, human hair is often the go-to because it's cheap and easy to get. They sweep it up from barbershops and salons, especially in places like China, then process it and mix it into the dough. So you might be munching on someone's haircut without even knowing it. Good news? Not every bread has L-cysteine. And when it's there, the FDA makes sure it's clean and safe to eat. But even if it won't hurt you, the idea of hair in your sandwich can totally kill your vibe. If this freaks you out, no stress. You've got choices. Hit up a local bakery that sticks to simple, natural ingredients. Or better yet, bake your own bread at home. It's not as hard as it sounds, and you'll know exactly what's in every bite. 5. Hot dogs. If burgers and gummies already threw you for a loop, buckle up. Hot dogs are next, and they're a wild ride. These barbecue classics look all cozy in their buns, but what's inside them? Not so pretty. Hot dogs come from something called meat emulsion. That's where pork, beef, or chicken gets mashed up with fat, spices, and preservatives into a weird batter-like goop. Here's the gross part. Cheaper hot dogs often toss in stuff you'd never want to eat, like gristle, fatty skin, and even organs. Machines scrape every last bit off the bones, grabbing connective tissue, blood vessels, and random scraps along the way. Mix in some sodium nitrates and fake flavors, and voila, a hot dog is born. Those nitrates and nitrites? They keep hot dogs fresh and pink, but they've got a dark side. Studies link them to higher cancer risks, especially in your gut. Plus, with all the salt and saturated fat packed in, they're a fast track to heart problems, high blood pressure, and extra pounds. And it gets weirder. A Clear Labs study found human DNA in 2% of hot dogs. No, they're not made of people, but it's a red flag about sloppy hygiene in the factories. Even crazier? Some vegetarian hot dogs tested positive for human DNA, too. Talk about a mystery you don't want in your meal. 4. Gummy candy. Gummy bears, worms, or any of those chewy, colorful candies might look like a fun little treat. But don't be fooled. They're not your body's friend. Let's start with what happens when you eat them. Gummies are made of gelatin, tons of sugar, and fake additives. Once they hit your stomach, they don't break down easily. Picture this. Drop a few gummies in water overnight, and they puff up into a weird, gooey blob. That's what's going on in your gut. It can leave you feeling bloated, uncomfortable, or even plugged up. Then there's the sugar overload. Gummies are stuffed with it, sending your blood sugar on a wild ride, up for a quick energy buzz, then crashing down fast. Keep eating them, and over time, that sugar can pile on extra weight, mess with your insulin, and even raise your chances of diabetes. Those fruity flavors? Nope, not from real fruit, just lab-made chemicals. Plus, the dyes and additives in there can make kids bounce off the walls and might spark other health worries. Add it all up, and these squishy snacks are a recipe for tummy troubles, energy slumps, and bigger problems down the road. 3. Fish sticks. When's the last time you grabbed a box of fish sticks? They're quick, crispy, and a total throwback to childhood for lots of us. Freezers everywhere are stocked with them. But before you dunk that golden bite into some tartar sauce, let's peel back the crust and see what's really going on. First up, the fish. A lot of fish sticks are made from farm-raised fish, which might sound okay. But here's the catch. Fish farms often feed them stuff like soy and corn, plus antibiotics to fight off diseases in cramped, dirty conditions. That means the fish miss out on those heart-healthy omega-3s you'd hope for, so you're not getting the good stuff you think. Some brands don't even tell you where their fish comes from, leaving you in the dark about what's on your plate. Then there's the frying. Fish sticks get cooked in oils loaded with unhealthy fats. Think trans fats and saturated fats. Those are troublemakers that can up your chances of heart disease, strokes, and packing on extra pounds. Just one serving can hit you with about 9 grams of fat, including 2 grams of the saturated kind. Not exactly a heart's best friend. And don't forget the salt. With around 300 milligrams of sodium per serving, fish sticks can sneakily push you over your daily limit. Too much sodium. That's a fast track to high blood pressure, which is no joke for your heart. So, next time you're eyeing those fish sticks, maybe think twice before they hit your plate. 2. Chewing gum. Bet you'd never think of a sheep when you pop a piece of gum in your mouth. But here's a wild twist. Some chewing gums use lanolin, a waxy stuff that comes from sheepskin glands. You might know it from lotions that keep your skin soft, but it's also in gum to help make it nice and chewy. Not exactly what you picture in that minty stick, right? Chewing gum today is way different from the old days when people chomped on tree sap. Now, it's made with synthetic stuff like polyisobutylene, yep, the same rubbery material in inner tubes, and polyvinyl acetate, another fake resin. They mix in plasticizers to get that perfect chew. Firm at first, then soft and stretchy once you warm it up in your mouth. Add some sugar, flavors, and extras, and you've got all those tasty options on the shelf. Here's the sneaky part. Gum base is a standard recipe, so companies don't have to tell you exactly what's in it. So while you're enjoying that flavor burst, you're chewing on a mystery blend of rubbery synthetics and maybe even sheep wax. Energy drinks. You've probably grabbed an energy drink after a long day or a rough night, right? That taurine they brag about on the can, it's usually fake or pulled from animals, which isn't a huge deal by itself. But the real eyebrow raisers are the other ingredients. These drinks are packed with caffeine, sugar, or even sketchier artificial sweeteners, and a bunch of chemical add-ons. Sure, they'll perk you up fast, but there's a catch. Slam too many, and you might end up dehydrated, jittery, or tossing and turning all night. Over time, all that sugar can pile on pounds, mess with your insulin, and wreck your teeth. And the caffeine? It can make your heart race and spike your blood pressure. For kids and teens, it's even worse. The American Academy of Pediatrics says they shouldn't touch these drinks at all because of the risky stimulant buzz. Even if you're an adult, it's smart to keep an eye on how much caffeine and sugar you're chugging from these cans to dodge the downsides. So, ever wonder what's really lurking in the stuff you eat and drink every day? Drop your thoughts in the comments and hit that subscribe button for more eye-opening reveals.